Okay, so in this unit, we are looking at programming, and we'll be looking at programming through Scratch, but really what we're covering is the first three chapters of whenever you learn like an actual formal programming language. And the topics we'll be looking at are input-output statements, so if statements or if-else statements, and we'll also look at while loops. But we'll do that through Scratch. So just because it kind of looks childish and just because this is like an app where you are able to make games, we will actually step away from the game making and do a little bit of more formal programming. So I'm still going to use this when the green flag is clicked to start triggering kind of different events. So whenever people make their first programs, there's always this program called Hello World that they create. And so for us to replicate it in Scratch, head to the looks here and drag this Say tab. And all we have to do is change this text to just say Hello World. Now, if I press this green button, I get my program. All it says is Hello World. So it prints or says my sentence to the screen. We can also just drag this say for 2 seconds instead of the regular say, so that when I press the green button, it says Hello World, but it goes away after 2 seconds. And I can stack multiple of these. So I have Hello World, it's nice to meet you, and it will say the first message, and it will say the second message. And the point here is that when I run the program, it looks at my code and it runs top to bottom, right? So it's not first saying it's nice to meet you and then Hello World. It's first saying Hello World and then it's nice to meet you. So top to bottom. Now I can also say, instead of like it's nice to meet you, I can say how are you? So I can ask a question. And if I run the code, it once again says Hello World, how are you? But I have nowhere to actually put my answer. So if I'm making a game that I want the program to actually receive an answer from the user, then I have to go here to the Sensing tab and drag off this ask and wait. And instead of using the say command to ask the question, I'm going to use the ask command to ask how are you. So hello world, how are you? And now I have my input box right here, and I can just say good. So it seems like there is not much difference between these two, except for the box that opens up. But whenever I get an input, I can store the answer. So me saying good, I can tell the computer to remember that answer and use it later. And the place that the computer remembers the answer is here. We have a variable called answer. So what I can do again is have another say down here, but instead of saying hello, I will say the answer. So if I run it, hello world, how are you? Good, check mark, and then it prints out good for me. It's only printing out good because that's what I typed. If I type something else, like bad, then it's going to print bad, because now that is what the answer contains. So now I'm going to change this program to just ask for what is your name, and it will behave how we want it to behave. But what if I want to ask two questions? So what is your first name? But also I want to ask what is your last name? And then I want to say, like, I want the little fox here to pretty much print out the first name and the last name. So I'm going to run this. So if I say Bob and last name Banana, it's actually only going to print out the last thing, because even though I entered first name and last name, once the program goes from top to bottom, because that's how all programs run, once the program gets to this line right here, so when it's time to actually look into the box, the shoebox called answer, and reveal what's inside, well, even though you put in Bob initially, the second time around right here, we replaced Bob with banana. So here when I say, let's see what's in the box called answer, then you only have banana. So to actually get Bob and banana, what you have to do is we have to pretty much create two shoeboxes, so two variables is really what it's called in programming. So on the left hand side here where it says variable, I will create a new variable, call it first name. And I'm also going to create a second variable called last name, and I'm going to hit OK. And so now I have three kind of shoeboxes. I have one called answer, I have one called first name, one called last name. But when I hit go, all of them are empty. And these blue lines only populate this shoebox. So what I'm going to do is after I get the first name, I'm going to set the variable first name to be the answer. So here, if I answer that my first name is Bob, then I'm going to say, okay, well, first name is now Bob. Then it's going to ask for the last name. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set last name to the answer of the previous question. And so now, instead of saying hello, I can say first name for 20 seconds. So here, Bob, banana. So it's printing Bob because that's the first name. Or I can print out the last name. And so now it prints out the last name. Awesome. So I can now remember, as a program, I can remember two variables. But how do I actually print both of these things? So what if instead of saying Bob or printing out just banana, I want to print out Bob banana? And for that, you need to go to operators. And down here, I want to join two strings. So both of these things, because they're sentences, right? Bob is a word, banana is a word. So in programming, we say those are strings. And you can join them with the join. So if I put that in there and I run it, Bob banana, okay, good. So the little thing says Bob banana, but without a space. So how can I fix the space? Well, the join function here, what it does, it pretty much takes the whatever I put in here and it joins it together. So what I can do is I can say, okay, well, let me put a space bar in this thing right here. There's a space bar in there, and then I'll add the last name in the second thing. So now if I just print this out, the little fox says spacebar banana. So there's a spacebar right here, and then it says banana. Okay, is it better? Not really, but we are getting somewhere. Because now what I can do is I can join. This whole thing represents spacebar banana. So I'm going to join spacebar banana with first name. So I have a join and a join. So now I'm doing first name, space, last name. Run this now. And now I get my Bob space banana. If I want to say hello Bob banana, then I join another string. And here I'll say hello, and I'll already put a space bar in there. So I'm already putting a space bar in there. And now I can just run it. So it says hello Bob banana. So this is a little bit complex, but you have a few questions to answer on Teams, and this is as much of kind of detail that you need to answer all of those questions. So that's it for this video.